get to what I woke up to this morning, which was this story about UC Global. The Bestie shared from El Pais. So it's pretty unbelievable, but you can read here, more than 250 extra gigabytes of files related to the surveillance of the founder. What? Huh? And then we also have Tariq Haddad, who had written a thing about the 2020 release that we talked about earlier, that Matt commented on as well, that Kathy had shared. Now we also have him commenting on this El Pais piece. He's written up a report, including his own original reporting on the matter. This is required reading in his opinion, and I would agree because it was really good. So let's go back there. Let's go back here. Let's go to Tariq Haddad's article and let's check out what he's talking about. But before we do that, let's go first to the El Pais article, because I do want to give credit to the man who wrote this article. And there's video here, and it's kind of heartbreaking, but I want to show this too. All right. So the writer is JOSÉ MARÍA IRUJO. I want to make sure we've got volume up. Good. And go.
Do a kickflip. That's not a kickflip. Channel your inner Rodney Mullen. Do it.
Stella.
Hello.
Jesus. Well, thank you to El Pais for giving us that, and to the Ecuadorian embassy. I mean, to the UC Global case that's going on in Spain. And we'll have that.
Crab asked how recent the footage is.
That was from within the Ecuadorian embassy. I don't know exactly when.
So that would have been
like before 2017.
How long has he been in prison for?
Well, that would have been before 2019, but I don't know exactly when. Yeah. Here's the article from El Pais if you want to check that out and read it. But I do want to go through...
Do the math, Rain Man.
Tariq Haddad's article. And there's David Morales. Okay, pictured at one of the company's offices with a colleague who is faceless. But that's David Morales right there. That's the guy that really rigged all this spying against Assange. Either knowingly... he had to know what he was doing by the end of it, but This is the key thing. Tariq Haddad says Spanish police omitted a very relevant volume of material from the judge investigating spying allegations against UC Global owner David Morales, the former Spanish Marine accused of breaching Julian Assange's privacy, while the WikiLeaks founder sought political asylum in Ecuador's London embassy, according to a new report in El Pais. An investigation into Morales was opened by Spain's Audiencia Nacional, a Madrid court with national jurisdiction to investigate major crimes, in July 2019. It came after two witnesses from UC Global, the firm contracted to provide security for the Ecuadorian embassy, approached Assange's lawyers, alleging that Morales had used this access to surreptitiously eavesdrop on Assange, his visitors, as well as meetings held with lawyers and medical professionals, and handing over the acquired materials to America's Central Intelligence Agency. Yes, this is what happened. We have to go over this. Once a criminal case was open, the premises of Morales' home and businesses were raided by Spanish police on 17 December of that year. In the process, police confiscated over 20,000 euros in cash. That's not pounds, that's euro in cash. 2 guns with serial numbers scratched off, one of which was loaded, as well as physical files, laptops, mobile phones, and external storage devices in the form of pen drives and hard drives. Copies of the digital files were subsequently sent to the presiding judge, as well as Assange's Spanish lawyers, who trawled through the evidence to compile a criminal case. And these are the guns, and there's the serial number scratched off. You can see there in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
However, in going through the files, exceeding 1.5 terabytes of data, Assange's lawyers noted that a number of the files were corrupted in the copying process, making them inaccessible. They successfully petitioned the judge to have their own IT experts make new digital mirrors of the images of the devices in January of this year. How about that? About it. Now, according to their recent interview with El Pais, the lawyers made a shocking discovery once the new data had been accessed. Almost over 250 gigabytes of material originally on the devices was never included in what the judge or lawyers had received. It includes a staggering total of 551,616 files and 973 emails previously unseen. Among them is a folder titled Operations and Projects, like projectiles, in which further directories are broken down by region. Going to North America and then to USA, a folder is found within the title CIA. In there with the title CIA, in there are images and video footage from the secret surveillance undertaken in the Ecuadorian embassy. There are also files labeled Ladies' Toilet, where UC Global placed hidden microphones after learning that that's where Assange took his lawyers in an attempt to evade other forms of surveillance. Also that his lawyers were women, Jen Robinson and Amal Clooney, or Amal, I don't know what her name was before, and then later on, Stella Morris. Others were labeled Fidel, as in reference to Fidel Narvaez, the former Ecuadorian consul who attempted to help Assange escape the embassy by means of a diplomatic passport. The finding is hugely significant, although previously received files showed Morales texting his colleagues with multiple references to working with the American client, American Intelligence, and the Agency of Stars and Stripes, in addition to bank, phone, and flight records placing him in various American cities when key decisions were made. There never appeared to be an explicit reference to the CIA. That is now not the case, and it should be instrumental in proving the criminal case against Morales, as well as to the civil suit in the Southern District of New York filed against the CIA and its former director, Mike Pompeo, on behalf of Margaret Ratner-Kunstler, Deborah Herbeck, John Getz, and Charles Glass as the plaintiffs. Further still, this now becomes the second instance of Spanish police appearing to obstruct the Assange investigation. Everybody obstructed the Assange investigation under orders from the U.S. and CIA. That's my own addition. That's not Tariq's assessment. In a January meeting with Assange's lawyers in Spain, Aitor Martinez told the author of this piece that following a December 2017 break-in at his firm's offices in Madrid, the ILOCAD practice set up by a former judge, Baltasar Garzón, the matter was investigated, but when Martinez followed up, police said there was no file in existence in relation to the break-in. What? Further follow-ups about this fact did not yield any additional information. But here's the cam footage of somebody breaking into these offices. These are screen grabs of CCTV footage from the law firm. We remember this. Like, we covered this. I think we covered this last year.
Maybe.
The break-in, which is believed to be carried out by professionals who use gloves and other means to avoid detection, is suspected of being linked to Morales and UC Global due to testimony provided by one of the two witnesses. Because in his statement to the Spanish court, witness 2, anonymized to protect him from potential reprisals from his former boss, said, I recall that at the end of November 2017, David Morales told the company workers that the Americans were very happy with the information that we'd supplied, but that they would need more. To this end, Morales spoke about the possibility of entering the legal offices of ILOCAD, which is the law firm which is headed by Baltasar Garzón in Madrid, given that Mr. Garzón coordinated the legal defense of Julian Assange. This would allow us to obtain information concerning Mr. Assange for the Americans. I believe we found that they had placed cameras in his office too. 2 weeks after this conversation, the national media reported that 2 men in baklavas had entered his law offices. Remember, we reported on this. I recall that the news was shared amongst the employees in the Jerez office, and we speculated whether this could have to do with what our boss, David Morales, had suggested. Morales is currently under house arrest while being investigated for breach of privacy, violation of confidentiality of attorney-client privilege, bribery, and money laundering. Nice guy. Spanish case against him is continuing, and lawyers recently filed a request to extend the investigating period by an additional 6 months. And as we know, Assange, meanwhile, has now spent over 4 years in prison in Britain's HMP Belmarsh, Her Majesty's. HM is Her Majesty's Prison. That's what HMP stands for. Belmarsh.
Yeah.
While U.S. attempts to extradite him to the country continue. He's wanted in connection with obtaining and publishing the infamous collateral murder video, as well as U.S. military logs from the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Defenders argue that the publication of these files is no different from what journalists do every day, and the prosecution is an assault on press freedoms. But the U.S., of course, says it's a violation of the Espionage Act, except that he wasn't bound by the Espionage Act, and that Assange should spend decades, if not the rest of his life, in incarceration. Support Tariq Haddad, tariqhaddad.com. That was a good article. To me, this is the smoking gun. Like, literally, this is the smoking gun. They now have the video footage. We now have the video footage off of this guy's computer in a folder labeled CIA that they never gave. And now we have it. Why isn't he out right now? Why isn't he out right now? And I think Misty would totally agree with me. Here's the INN News episode where he purged the Assange files with special guest Misty Winston. Go check that out for sure. Okay. Yep. I saw a question by Crab. Where was it? Something. Now I can't find. Oh, here it is. He says, do you guys even think that if Assange gets out now, he'll be able to live the rest of his life at ease, or in his mental case gone for good? I would. No,
he's already mentally broken.
I would say that
he just had a stroke.
He needs to get out just for his physical safety. Yes. It makes me sad too. They've already kind of Mouse SF. Think of how much we lost with Julian out of commission. It is awful, and maybe one day. But even with him out, I don't think that we would get that Julian Assange. I don't think he would go back to doing WikiLeaks, and I would totally not blame him one bit for not doing that. He's done more than enough, and he deserves to live his life in peace at this point and be out and free.